everybody. We back with yet another episode of With Time We Can. For this week, I have a very special guest of mine, a young woman who recently came home and right before the COVID-19 pandemic, and she has battled through so many trials and tribulations. And I just thought that her story was very powerful and she would like to share. For interview purposes, we're going to call this lady Lady B. How you doing, Lady B?
Good.
Good? Okay. So, Lady B, before we get started, I just wanted to ask you about, just a little bit about your childhood and where you came from and actually what brought you to Philadelphia. So, how about we start with your childhood? Where are you from?
From Berwick, PA.
Berwick, PA? Berwick, PA. What part of PA is that?
It's down in Columbia County.
Okay, so that's pretty far from here.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours.
Oh, all right, cool. And mom, dad in the house with you, or?
No, I was in foster care.
You was in foster care?
Yeah, from 3 to 18, I served in foster care.
Okay, all right, pretty good. So, how was foster care?
I had a couple families that was in it for the right reasons, but most of them were in it for the money.
So you got passed around quite a bit.
22 foster homes, about 15 group homes, and a couple mental institutions here and there.
Really? You went to a mental institution as a child?
Yeah, for evaluations, they had to do it every so often.
Wow. So how did that make you feel as a child, being bounced around from 22 different families?
It sucked.
It sucked? Was it all in that same county, or did you bounce around?
I lived from one end of Pennsylvania to the other.
Really?
Yeah.
And they would just put you in a van and just, hey, you're going to this family, or you're going to that family? They
would come in the car, my caseworker would pull up, pack up, you're leaving.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you keep the same caseworker at least?
Yeah, for the most part. She retired right before I turned 18.
Do you still keep in contact?
No.
Okay.
Nope, I lost contact with her. I talked to her a few times after I turned 18, but through the years we lost contact.
Oh, wow, okay. So, no family, bouncing around from group home to group home. What about your education? Were you a smart kid, or?
I graduated in 11th grade at the head of 2500.
Really? Oh, so you use your pain to help you with education? Like education was a way out for you?
I guess it's just something that came easy to me.
Okay. And what did you do after high school?
Unfortunately, I turned into an alcoholic.
Right after high school?
Well, actually, no. I turned into an alcoholic when I was like 10.
Like 10 years old? Wow. And how was that? I mean, I know how getting drunk is at 29 years old. So, at 10 years old, you must have been in certain spaces where it must have been very frightening for you, like being intoxicated.
Being in foster care, it was either fight or not fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically fight or get your butt kicked.
Wow.
And I sort of drowned out my pains with the booze.
Okay. Well, were the fights, I know that was like a part of your life at a while. Were you getting bullied a lot in foster care, or were you the one doing bullying?
No, I was the one getting bullied.
Ah, man. So the alcohol was just a way to, that's so sad.
A lot of foster families, their natural kids got to go out and have fun and play.
Yeah.
While I did the work.
Really?
They used the foster kids as the quote unquote slaves of the house, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was your job, just washing the dishes, cleaning up, while the other kids went out and did whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, I lived on a few farms where I was out in the barn doing that, mucking the stalls, feeding the animals, milking the animals.
Wow, really? So they just wanted you to, I guess, quote unquote, earn your keep while they got an opportunity to do whatever. That's so wrong. I hate evil people like that.
Well, like I said, there's some foster families that are in it for the right reason.
Right.
I had a couple that I really loved, a couple that actually, it was my fault that I didn't get adopted.
Yeah.
I blew it.
You blew it.
I blew it.
Wow. Wow.
They wanted to adopt me. I went back to the one foster family. I lived with them for 6 years. And they were the longest ones I was ever with.
Mm-hmm.
I was with them from 5 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and for a visit, but I was at that point where I was drinking, stealing, and I didn't find out until afterwards that that visit was a trial run for an adoption.
Oh, man.
And I would have loved to have been adopted by them.
Yeah.
They're a sweet Catholic family,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really good to me.
Right.
And I got along with their son and daughter.
Mm-hmm. And you blew it.
I blew it.
Wow. Well, just in the defense of, somebody that did grow up with their parents, that is a privilege in itself, whether black, white, whatever. That is a form of privilege to have the privilege to have both your parents, or at least your mother, that cares about you, because, you can't blame yourself for that. It wasn't like you blew it. They knew what they were getting themselves into. So it was just a reactionary period for you. And at the time, I believe that maybe you were too young to understand what you were doing. So, you're here now, alive and well.
Well, when I was 3 years old, I knew I was different.
Yeah.
My foster mother would dress me up in boys' clothes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd take them right off and put on a dress and go out and play in the dress.
Right.
I always preferred wearing the girls' clothes.
Mm-hmm.
All my life, I grew up, I wore women's clothes underneath the boys' clothes,
Mm-hmm.
just so I could feel that way.
Okay.
Back in the 70s and 80s, being a transgender wasn't a thing that you could talk about out in the open like it is today.
Yeah. Right.
You would get beat, shot, hung, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People were just that violent towards something that's different.
Right. I understand. Yeah.
A lot of problems that transgenders face, especially male to female, is that the males think that we're taking away their masculinity
Mm-hmm.
by becoming from masculine to feminine.
Mm-hmm.
That we're taking a hit on their masculinity, and that's not it.
Not the case.
Being a transgender is about who you are as a person. Has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. It's about you and how you feel. I've had a lot of people, they ask me if I'm interested in boys. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm still interested in girls and always will be.
Right.
So in trans sense, I guess I'm a transgender lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always will be attracted to women.
Right.
But me becoming a transgender, getting the operations is about me as a person.
Right.
And I always knew I felt like a girl, and I didn't have the guts to come out until I was 45 years old.
Wow.
And when I turned 45, I had an epiphany,
Mm-hmm.
and it was time for me to be happy for me.
Yeah.
My whole life, after I turned 18, I always put my family ahead of me.
Right.
I would jump on a dime and do anything for any of my brothers and sisters and my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't know my father.
Okay.
My father, all I know is he lives out in Oregon.
Okay.
But I would do anything for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew how they would feel if they knew about me being the way I am.
Right.
So I kept it under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I turned 45, I came out to my family and friends, and I found out who my true friends were.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, for most part, my whole family turned their back on me. And pretty much told me to go to hell, I guess.
Wow.
But I ended up doing jail time because of drinking. Because when you're drinking, you're not thinking.
Yeah. So
you think you are, but you're not.
I got a question. So your drinking that you started at 10 carried all the way over until 45? Your addiction, your alcoholism?
I quit drinking January 2nd, 2001. I'm almost 20 years sober.
You're almost, okay. So from 10 years old to 2001, how old were you then?
From 80 to 2001.
So you're 21 at that point.
That's about 21 years of drinking.
Yeah, and you haven't picked up a bottle since then.
Nope.
All right, so.
And since I've been out of prison, I've had a lot of people offer me cans of beer, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that no more.
Right. Your incarceration, how much jail time did you do?
The last one was 15 years altogether.
All together?
Yeah.
Oh, so you went to prison before the 15-year bit, right?
I did a 5 to 10. I maxed that. I got out, moved in with my sister, and because my sister and I got into an argument, she kicked me out, and I ended up back in prison for another 2.5 to 5 on the same thing.
On the same charge?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to ask about Pennsylvania prison, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
All right, so describe to me how it is for a transgender woman did they put you in a maximum security men's jail or?
Yeah, I was in
women's jail?
SCI Rockview.
Rockview?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a tough life, and I used to say to the guards all the time, if I could live in here as a transgender, I could live anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you got so much hatred with the guys and the Muslims, they really hate transgenders because it's against their beliefs.
Okay.
But if you can survive in prison, you can, and as a transgender, especially if you're male to female in a men's prison, you can survive anywhere.
Yeah. Now, could you tell me any specific situations that you may have saw or seen other trans women that faced in prison? Can you tell me a situation that, like a typical day for a trans woman in a men's prison?
A lot of it's guys hooting and hollering at you, and they're two-faced because if they're not with their homies, they'll be up on you trying to, hit on you. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you won't ever have to worry about commissary, I'll take care of you. But when they're around their homies, they're calling you all kinds of names. Really downsizing you, and because they're embarrassed about being who they are.
Okay. So that's one of the biggest things that you faced?
Yeah.
With guys actually being really nice to you behind closed doors, but once they got in front of a certain amount of people, they started calling you names and trying to act like they don't know you.
Yeah, it's not really behind closed doors because I never would be with none of them.
Okay.
I always told them to go to hell.
Oh man.
I don't believe in jailhouse romances until I talk to my partner, my future wife, who gets out in October.
Okay.
We talked one day. She's a transgender also, and You know, you get that feeling inside.
Right.
That when you find that right person.
Okay.
And we both had that feeling, so we got together. But a typical day for a transgender, a lot of them I've seen were jumping from man to man, getting whatever they could get.
Yeah, yeah. So I heard a lot of stories about transgenders, you know, pretty much running the prison because they're like the females of the prison, right? So as far as the drugs and maybe like you said, the men putting the men against each other, is that a factor?
I don't really, in Rockview, the women, the transgenders didn't run the prison.
No.
But as far as, I don't know about the drugs, but as far as the like jumping from guy to guy, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen them sneaking into cells, you know, because at Rockview you couldn't be in no one else's cell.
Oh, no, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you got caught, you got rode up and you usually got hold time.
Okay.
Now, my case, I was Z-coded, which means I didn't have a cell.
Were you Z-coded the whole 15 years?
No.
Alright.
Just about the last 3 years.
Okay.
I had a cellie for over 2 years. He's a Native American like me, and he's Cherokee like me. So he knows how the Native Americans, they put transgenders and gays and lesbians up on a higher pedestal, because whereas you walk the road of a straight man, I'm walking the road of a man and a woman. And in a lot of cases in Native American tribes, especially upon the councils, they listen to our insight because we're not coming from one or the other. We're walking that road of both people. So we have a more valuable insight on a lot of things.
Right.
And they listen to us. So having him as a cellie was great. He never tried to pull no moves on me or nothing.
Yeah.
And I felt safe.
Okay.
He got transferred to another prison because he went to a veterans unit.
Okay.
When he got transferred, I talked to the unit manager. He said if I could find someone I trusted, he'd put him in my cell. I couldn't find no one. So then the unit manager said that, well, we'll put you in for a Z-code, see if we can get you that.
Okay.
He put me in for the Z-code under the thing that I'm a transgender.
Okay.
I don't feel safe having a guy in my cell.
Right.
And they gave me the Z-code.
And how long were you Z-coded for?
It was about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, I had a cell to myself.
Okay. And that was until you left?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Okay, so now coming out. So what year was it when you came out of prison?
March 16, 2020.
March 16, 2020? Okay, and how was it coming out? I mean, no, you know, with the family, feeling like the family hasn't accepted who you were, you haven't seen the streets in the past 15 years.
It was a little scary at first.
Yeah, was it scarier in prison?
No.
No? Okay. Alright, but...
I felt a little more comfortable out here than I do in prison.
Oh, man. Yeah.
If you start feeling comfortable in prison, you got something wrong.
Something wrong with you, yeah.
And I've seen a lot of guys that they've been in prison for 20, 30 years doing life bids.
Yeah.
And they're so comfortable and laid back. I mean, their house is like, their cell is like a house.
Really?
You know, they have it all fixed up. And I'm like, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
But then when they tell me their story, you know, then it puts it together.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They're in there for life.
Right.
They're never gonna see a woman again. They're never gonna hold a woman again. You know, romantically or in bed or nothing. You know, except for contact visits. And right now, with this COVID thing, they're not even having them.
Wow. Wow.
You know, they're doing video visits. So you're not even getting contact visits where you can hold your loved one and hug them and give them a kiss.
Yeah. That must be so hard, man. It must be hard. Well, you know, just the path of re-entry is tough. I know you had to navigate the shelter system for a little bit before you finally got stable, right?
Yeah.
So with the shelter system, was that reminiscent of the group homes that you went to, or was that a little bit more better for you?
Well, it was similar. When I got out, I chose Philadelphia because I'm a history buff.
Okay.
And you can't find a city with more history.
Than Philly.
That's one of the reasons why I chose Philly.
Yeah.
I've always been a country person. And in my heart, I always will be.
Yeah.
Even though I'm living in a city. But I also didn't want to go back where I was from.
Yeah. Right.
I figure if I run into my friends, you know, I'll get back into drinking or doing some stupid shit and end up back in prison. And so I moved where I don't know nobody.
Okay.
And I literally moved out of prison and right to the streets.
Wow. So when you got out of prison, they let you out on the streets and you didn't have a home plan or anything?
Nope.
Wow, so you was on the street for a little while and then you went to the shelters.
Yeah, I got out March 16th and I didn't get into the shelter that I'm at until the end of May.
Really? Jesus Christ. The DOC got to do better with that. They have to do better. I mean...
Well, when you're maxing out, like if I was paroling out, I would have had to have a home plan.
Yeah.
But because I maxed out, they just needed an address, so I could just give them an address and, you know.
You just looked up some anywhere and gave
I could just say 50th and Bumfuck Egypt and, you know, that'd be the address.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
As long as you give them an address to put down.
And they just drove you and just let you out on the side of the road?
No, they took me to the bus stop in State College.
Okay.
And they put me on there. They stayed with the one guard stayed with me until I got on the bus. And then he left and went back to the prison. I wasn't officially free until I actually stepped on the bus.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't in cuffs.
You wasn't in cuffs, but you was...
But I was still being escorted by the guard.
Okay.
So I wasn't officially free until I stepped on that bus.
And I know when the bus pulled off, you like, yeah. I want to ask you another question, Lady B. So you said that you're a transgender woman, right?
Yeah.
And you have like a wife, a companion,
Yeah.
who is also a transgender woman.
Yes, sir.
So you guys are two transgenders, but you're more like a lesbian, like transgender.
We both were.
Pretty much. Okay. This is an educational moment, teaching moment, but all right, cool. Like, is that problematic? Like with, I mean, I know you guys were met in prison, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how was that relationship? Or y'all were in two different prisons?
No, we were in the same prison.
Oh, so your wife is still up at Rockview?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, she got transferred. She's in Forest now, SCI Forest.
Oh, Forest. When's she coming home?
In October 16th, I think.
Oh, real soon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Believe me, I can't wait. I hope Cedar Park gets me a place in time. So I have my own place.
Yeah. How long has it been? Since March? That's the last time you seen it?
Yeah.
I know now that I know it's tough. Okay. So,
Yes, it is.
yeah. Well, just know that, this is the city of brotherly love. And I know it's a lot going on out here, but I know deep down inside, people that live here, they do see the love and feel the love in certain aspects. And luckily, Philadelphia has a large population of LBGT. So
Right. Now, that was one of the other reasons why I chose it.
yeah. It's not taboo here. It's a way of life, and we all respect that. We respect that.
I'll tell you, since I moved here, I've found nothing but love. I've never had nobody throw no hatred towards me. And everywhere I've been, I have been openly accepted with open arms. And I thought it would be tough going into a woman's shelter. And the guys at Outreach are the ones that got me there. And I thank them every day in my prayers, that they're out there doing their work, that try to help the people that are homeless.
Okay. Gotcha.
But they thought it would be the best fit to put me in a women's shelter than a men's shelter.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they did.
Yeah, because what it is they respect who you are. Doesn't matter what we think. It's about who you are and who you see yourself at. So if you see yourself in the image of a woman, then we have to respect that. And I'm just glad that, I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm just glad that at your age you're finally able to live your truth, and just do this for you.
The one thing I tell people all the time, I'm 50 years old and I'm proud of it. All right? Be true about who you are, whether you're gay, lesbian, transgender, non-binary, whatever you are. Be true about who you are and be proud of who you are.
Right.
I tell people this all the time. And I tell people, if you ever want to know my story, just ask. I'll sit down and talk to you. I don't have nothing to hide. I could probably tell you tales that will curl your toes and make you cry, about my life. But my life made me the person I am today.
Yeah.
It made me a strong person, inside and out.
Right.
The whole time I was in prison, people would come to me to talk to me over the guards. And the guards would ask me why. I was like, well, for one, I'm an empath. And they could sense it. I said, for two, they know I'm not going to spin them a bunch of bullshit like you guards do.
Yeah.
You are all nice to their face, and then once they leave, you talk about them, and degrade, just tear them apart.
Degrade.
I had one guard, I actually ended up getting fired. He called me to my cell about sheets hanging on the line. I told him they weren't mine, they were my cell's. So he said, take them down. I took them down, I put them on my cell's bed. And when I was coming out, he goes, oh, you're one of them special ones that take your shower at 8:30 at night. Well, because I was transgender, you have a choice whether you want to shower with population or if you want to shower by yourself. At that time, I had breasts, and I didn't feel comfortable showering with population. I asked the guard his name because he didn't have a badge. He started cursing me off. He grabbed my arm. And they ended up writing me up, and I ended up going to the hole over it. But I grieved it, and I won. So I got out of the hole, and I would see this guard on the walks. Well, he threatened my life. I mean, literally, he said, you better stop lying or things are going to happen to you, And I had someone with me. to witness it. And I reported him, and he ended up getting fired over it.
Wow.
That was about the only really bad thing in prison I had as far as me being transgender though.
Wow.
I've never gotten in no fights about it. You know, my fighting days for me are over.
Yeah.
You know, when I turned 18, I made a vow to myself I would never fight again.
Right.
Unless I was backed into a corner or if my life depended on it.
Right.
That's the only way I'm going to bring my fist up anymore.
Well, if you because you lived a hell of a life, and I just want to say that I'm definitely proud of you and happy to get to know you, and even more happy to conduct this interview with you, because I feel like I learned a lot today. But I just want to ask you one final question. You know, you aren't the only one. You know, it's a lot of people out here that aren't living their truth, you know, and it's even worse when you not living your truth and you're incarcerated, or you're just coming home and you know, you have to deal with the biases that come with being incarcerated, but then also with being transgender. So what would you tell a younger person that's coming up? What advice would you give them about living their truth? Or not even younger, just anybody out there that has a similar story to you?
I would probably tell them, don't be a fool like me and wait so long. You know? Come out, be proud, be true.
Right.
You know, show yourself as you are and walk the streets with your head up.
Right.
And don't give a rat's ass about what people say, how they look at you, or anything. Just be true about who you are and let your love shine.
Nice. Well, very well said, Lady B. And thank you again for this interview. And it's another episode in the books, y'all. With Time We Can, Miss Lady B. With Time We Can, y'all. Boom.